The Movie Preview Critic. Informing and entertaining your movie world.
Does anyone else have a horrible case of cinematic blue balls after watching that? Guess who's responsible for it? Again, JJ, Master of Mystery, Abrams. Yup, the king of questions, the duke of dramatic tension, the sultan of story seduction is teasing our imagination again with the Cloverfield-ish monster movie non-high concept title, Super 8. Let's just say right away that this is not going to be a Cloverfield sequel, prequel, or spin-off. It's a self-contained, original idea. And that's why I'm excited, because much like Christopher Nolan's Inception, this is J.J. Abrams' carte blanche, I can do whatever the want movie because of the massive success of his Star Trek reboot. And being savvy about the business, he knows he has the power, holding the next Kirk and Spock adventure hostage, with the ransom demand being that he get to make Super 8. Combine that with his resume of Lost, Alias, Fringe, Cloverfield, and it's not a stretch to say that JJ is the Spielberg of the last 10 years. He knows how to tell stories, has a passion for them, obviously has fun making movies, and respects the audience, making us come up to his level and not pandering to the lowest common box office denominator. He's up there with Nolan, Cameron, the Coen brothers, Bryan Singer, and Peter Jackson as someone who respects cinema. Even though this is a teaser preview for a movie that's about a year away, let's see if we can't unlock what the story is about by looking at the footage and the mind behind the camera's eye. Based on the elements of this preview, here's the story. It's 1979, and Area 51 has closed one of its facilities, which results in quote-unquote materials being moved to Ohio. And for some reason, instead of using super secret technology like, oh, I don't know, an alien ship or teleporters or something fantastic, the military decides to transport a pretty pissed off and powerful sounding creature via freight train. And it's not even like a hover floating magnetic coil train with super titanium reinforced cargo doors. It's just a regular old hobo mobile home. Isn't there at least some secret underground subway that could be used? That's a little more secure? Everything seems to be going fine until a pickup truck turns onto the tracks and collides head-on with the train. We get an awesome looking action sequence and a very Spielbergian slow track into a single car, and then these words tease us. And the aching of our movie-loving gonads begins. In order to add some light to what this could all mean, let's analyze the creator. His ideas move in a very Russian doll, linear, one inspires the next sort of way. His first big hit, the WB's coming-of-age Felicity, was about a girl's journey through college. This gave birth to Alias, the story of a college girl recruited into a black ops division of the government. One of the major elements of this show was an overarching mega mystery Indiana Jones type quest for artifacts created by a Leonardo da Vinci Nostradamus guy named Milo Rambaldi. There was also a ton of secret organizations, governmental, military, and corporate, trying to subvert each other. All of this helps inform and create Lost, which blends the character drama of Felicity with the overarching mythology of Alias. In Lost, it's the Dharma Initiative. In Alias, it's SD6, or K-Directorate. And this brings up one of the most important influencing factors for Super 8. There's the Dharma orientation films, which seem to be filmed on Super 8. And these films are from the 70s. In 2006, JJ created 6 Degrees for ABC, a drama that basically takes the Lost flashback idea about characters' lives being connected and tried to make it into an hour-long drama. It never really found an audience, but interestingly enough for our discussion here regarding JJ's creative process, JJ had an acting role in the 1993 Oh My God, The Fresh Prince Can Really Act drama 6 Degrees of Separation. Now hold on to the thought about Super 8 orientation films as we explore JJ's inspiration for Fox's Fringe. It's basically the Dharma Initiative meets the X-Files. The premise for Fringe is that back in the 1970s, these genius scientists did all sorts of experiments that now, 40 years later, are becoming a reality and affecting our world. And Super 8's executive producer Steven Spielberg, who in the 70s made Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and remember that Indiana Jones' Kingdom of the Crystal Skull revealed that the warehouse storing the Ark was indeed Area 51. Another indicator of his linear creative pattern is evident in the Star Trek reboot, where an alternate timeline parallel reality is the twist, a concept which at the time was simultaneously present in Lost and Fringe. If we take all this knowledge together and incorporate the Hollywood mainstream movie 3-act structure of setup, conflict, and resolution, looking at this teaser preview, it seems that the causal event or inciting incident of the first act of setup is what we're seeing here. It's going to create the conflict of Act 2. So here we have it escaping, which is a great starting point. But what's the story and who are the characters? Based on the creative pattern we've established for JJ, I believe that Lost and Fringe are heavily influencing the story, especially Fringe, and it's going to center on an Area 51 team sent out to hunt down it. At first, the title seems like it refers to the image on the movie poster, which is a film stock and a corresponding camera. No doubt there's going to be some Dharma Initiative style footage of experiments at Area 51, maybe showing it. But what if Super 8 has a double meaning and refers to an Area 51 team of 8 individuals that must go retrieve it? What if this is JJ's superhero movie? In the penultimate episode of Fringe this season, a team of adults, experimented on as children in the 70s, now have superpowers much like the X-Men. Could this be inspiring and informing Super 8? Is it possible that the it in the car is one of the 8 experimentees gone bad? This brings up the truck that derails the train. At first it seems like the driver does it on purpose, like maybe he's part of some group that wants to expose the Area 51 secrets. This group could have gotten their hands on Super 8 footage, then gotten information from someone on the inside regarding when the train would be leaving, and one of them went kamikaze head on into the train. Take a look at this here. The wheel on the door is turning by itself. That hints at telekinetic powers. What if it has that power? So it took control of the car against the will of the driver and rammed it into the train so it could escape. Regarding it, I don't think it's a Cloverfield style monster, because that would be too predictable. JJ is always about the surprises, and making another monster movie would be a little bit too boring for him. I'm going to vote that this is an experimental, mutated human changed at Area 51 a la Scanners or Firestarter style. There is evidence in the preview to support this theory. Check this out. Did you see that? Let's slow it down. What is that? A little kid. Is this the it that escapes? If we continue with the theory that JJ's past ideas influence his future ones, we have to look to Fringe for another clue. That was Olivia, the main character of the series, being experimented on as a child by scientists in the 1970s. In Act 1, we're going to get the backstory of why the facility is shutting down. Then the cargo is moved. The Super 8 mutated warriors are introduced X-Men Xavier Academy style early on. Act 2 is the chase, as well as character moments like perhaps some of the Super 8 visit family members and struggle to let go of what they once were and accept what they've become. Act 3 is the face-off showdown between these mutated humans. If that's not the story, then JJ is breaking from his pattern of being influenced by his previous creations. The only option that seems to make sense is that since again it's set in the 70s, we have Steven Spielberg producing, and it is centered on Area 51, the it in the train may obviously be an alien. But here, a more pissed off version of E.T., like Mr. E.T., who pities the fool who don't let him go home. Looking back at movie history, there really hasn't been a Roswell-type great story explored on the big screen. This could be that, and the Super 8 may be the 8 aliens that survived the crash. And now, instead of going home peacefully like E.T., maybe they want to unleash a can of alien whoop-ass on the humans that have kept them hostage and experimented on them for so long. If you remember back to the late 90s, there was a popular special that aired on Fox while The X-Files was still a part of pop culture consciousness that was purported to be footage of the alien autopsies taken back after the alien crash was reported. This can also be influencing JJ's idea for Super 8. Having it be a monster movie or even an alien movie is a little bit too predictable unless he wants to make the quintessential Close Encounters of the Third Kind Independence Day Men in Black alien movie. If it is or isn't, at least there's a filmmaker out there keeping inspiration alive. Whatever it is, it'll be fun, creative, emotional, and character-based. One of the very few secrets JJ has let out of his mystery box. The movie preview critic rates Super 8 worthy of big screen viewing. See it as a midnight show. It stimulates imagination, and it's a little too early to say holy that looks awesome, but it does seem to be pushing boundaries, at least in that it's an original idea with an obscure title. Which is pretty ballsy, because in today's movie world, you can be guaranteed that the marketing department wanted this to be called Area 51 Monster on the Loose. It exists because of the carte blanche, you'll see it for the director, producer, and story factor, and it's absolutely a sign of movie hope. As for the box office, look for a Cloverfield-style pent-up tension release opening weekend of about 50 million with a worldwide take of about 200, as more is teasingly revealed over the next year. As for Super 8's place in movie history, it should be better than Cloverfield, but not as good as Men in Black. Consider yourselves advised, and until next time, remember, StoryCorp gives us more of what we pay for, and as always,
long live good movies!